Hello YouTube, it's your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, coming at you again with another YouTube video. And the title of this video is called, What Will Passport Bros Do to Stop Their Foreign Lady from Envying American Ladies? And the way this video came about was I was watching Brazil Yesh's channel, and there was a Passport Bro naysayer on there, and her critique of the Passport Bros was um that that we are only able to um, keep these women happy in their own countries, by spoiling them and portraying to be rich. And she was saying that when we get back to the states or bring our women back to our own country, the women are gonna at some point realize that we're not rich, and then they're gonna start envying the local women there and start picking up their traits and their habits, and then it's gonna ruin the relationship. So I kind of wanted to touch on this and talk to these points and debunk them, and also excuse me, tell my opinion on this whole subject as well. Now, so first, let me start by saying this, because this also has been a concern amongst a lot of pastor bros in general. Like, a lot of pastor bros would say it's best to keep the women in their own habitat. Um, I can agree with that, but I would like to say this as a person who plans to bring my fiance back to the states, and also from looking at data and doing research, I kind of want to ease a lot of people's fears, especially the fears that this woman has tried to bring up in a lot of passport bros, and I kind of want to speak to that and debunk a lot of the fear mongering and the talking points. So start off by saying this: keep in mind that in most of these foreign countries, especially the ones that the passport bros go to, these countries are generally much poorer than the United States. And the people there, because they don't have money, they tend to find pleasure and the simple things in life, things of substance. Instead of being caught up in materialism, they tend to do a lot of focus on family and friends, and hobbies and that kind of thing to find types of enjoyment. You'll find a lot of them working out and running down the street, riding bikes, things to kind of um you know uh, things to find, just no more ways of how to find happiness in life without necessarily having lots of money. As I've said it before, for example, in Colombia, um 55% of the income is generated by only about 20% of the people there. And most of the people there only make at most about, on average, $500 a month. And most of the people there work in the informal sector. They're doing things like Uber Eats. They're like street vendors. Their money is not necessarily guaranteed. They're not really contributing to tax benefits and that kind of thing. So people there learn to be thrifty, find ways to be stylish without spending tons of money. A lot of times when you go there, you won't necessarily see everyone wearing designer clothing. You see lots of different brands, a lot of generic brands and brands of clothing that we as Americans have probably never heard of. And what you'll find out is they're perfectly fine. A lot of these people are very much at peace. And ironically, what you're going to find out is that a lot of people in these foreign countries tend to be very polite, very help, and I'm not going to say all, but in many cases, very open to helping foreigners. I remember I was lost once. I was trying to find like this Airbnb place, and a guy there, I showed him an address. He actually walked me all the way to the Airbnb, and very friendly. And like I said, in the States, you'll find out that a lot of times most people for the most part, um, it's kind of more of a every man for himself mentality in the States versus in most of the other countries, especially like the third world countries. They learn that there is power in numbers, and they like to tend to work together since everyone doesn't have that many resources. But if they work with other people, they can kind of put their resources together to bring about change and get things done that they need to get done throughout the week. So a lot of times there, people like working together. They tend to work together, and so you'll find out that people in these countries tend to be very, very helpful. And I say that to say that in many cases, your foreign girlfriend that you meet, or the girls you meet and date there, they're not going to be so caught up in materialism. Now I'm not saying that they don't want you to buy them, things, or like I said before, like Gucci and all these things like that. But it's not a big deal. And generally, when you hear, put it this way, because the other piece of this too is, I encourage brothers, before you make one of these women your girlfriend or wife, you need to, there needs to be thorough vetting as well, because you got to remember, we're all sinners. There's evil people everywhere. There's always a few bad apples here and there, so you will occasionally run into a woman here or there that's like a gold digger, or she's only out trying to get money, and usually it'll be very obvious. For the most part, I think when you do hear about guys getting, taken advantage of as far as like financially, or that kind of thing, like there's been stories about guys going to the Ukraine, and the women go out on dates with them, and then she's trying to get the guy to buy her a phone, and then she disappears after that. Usually what I'm saying is that these are not like, CIA operatives where they're very good at hiding their intentions. Usually a lot of the evidence, all the red flags are there. It's just that a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of guys kind of go there and they're kind of thirsty, and because they've been so starved in the US or the West of female attention, so when they go there, it kind of makes them a little bit more vulnerable. And unfortunately, sometimes because guys start overlooking red flags and they're just happy to get out there, have some girl talking to them, instead of taking a step back, being a little more relaxed and chill, and actually vetting some of these women. And that's a lot of times how that happens. But in my personal opinion, a lot of times the women who are just out to try to take you for your money or that kind of thing, are looking for like the fast life, usually can see, pretty much, very quickly, they're going to kind of tell on themselves. You can just see lots of flags there. And I'm going to give you some brief tips to vet as well, before the end of this video. But I say that to say this, because you also got to keep in mind, I've dated plenty of women, especially in I mainly, my place I like to go a lot is typically Colombia, but I've been to the DR, I've been to Brazil, I've been to Ukraine, I've been to Thailand. And in general, a lot of times the women I've dated, I didn't have to go to expensive restaurants. Sometimes, for example, when I was in Thailand, the girl I was dating, she actually showed me a local restaurant nearby. Price was very good. Wasn't, especially for me, for being American, was very inexpensive, very inexpensive. Almost like the price of going to like a McDonald's in the States or something like that. And it was like a full course dinner. Had a wonderful time. Nice. I don't know the name of the dish, but she pretty much, the girl I was with, recommend me some different, like the dish that we were eating, but very, very good, very inexpensive. And I say that to say that you got to consider the fact that a lot of women there, they're dating a lot of the local guys, and the local guys there, as I told you before, they make no more than about, on average, $500 a month. So these guys are not buying girls Gucci bags, and they're not sporting Rolex watches. They're not buying women expensive dresses and all types of $1,000 shoes. They're not doing that. They're spending on the women that, like their girlfriends' wives, the best they can with the salary they have, which means they might go and find like a nice little, nice, $5 pair of shoe, like $5 pair of jeans, maybe 20 $30 pair of shoes. Maybe they might get them like a little, small necklace or something, $50, at most $50 necklace, something like that. But they're not spending hordes of money, on these women to date them. You got to consider that. And consider also there's high unemployment in a lot of these countries. So the men there, they're dating, and in many cases, you're gonna need both incomes to kind of survive. So both the men and women are living together, working together, paying off expenses, and a lot of times they're not expecting a man to indulge them in luxuries. They're not really expecting men to do that. So they're comfortable. Um, and in spite of that, as BGS has showed before, there was actually a guy in Guatemala. He pretty much was the guy that he pretty much sells like the melons and that kind of thing, and he pretty much was living in a basement, and his wife every day will cook for their children, take care of him. And he really didn't have that much money. I mean, he wasn't really buying her luxury things. The woman, she looked very pretty. um you know I would say maybe she's at most maybe like a 6'5", something like that. But still, the fact is, the guy is not, he's not um He's not rich. He's not a celebrity. He's just, normal guy, just working a regular job, providing for his family. His wife comes to him every day, gives him good sex. She's providing for him. She's, cooking for him and the children. She has a smile on her face the whole time. Versus the guys in the United States. Sometimes we're lucky if the women just want to, as Kevin Samuel said, it's hard for us to even get them just to smile at us. And you got, I believe it's what, 80% of the divorces are caused by women. So, and I actually saw a study that talked about how a lot of women generally have a guy in mind on the side, so that when they decide to divorce you or leave you, they already have somebody in mind that they want to run off with. If you just consider the fact that Tom Brady had just got a divorce and his wife immediately started dating this Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor right after him, which means they had probably already been in talks before she had even decided to break up with Tom Brady. So, so I'll pretty much say that to say that there's a culture there in these countries of women wanting to cook for their man, taking care of their man. In many of these countries, the men are the prize. Men are the prize. Because you also got to consider, as I said before, that a lot of these countries have high crime rates. Most people don't work with the police. If you're not working with the police, who's going to protect you? You're a man. You're going to need a man at some point to provide for you and protect you. Jobs today are scarce. You're going to want some type of leader, some type of direction, somebody to give you hope. So in this case, the value of men in these countries is very, very high. So that being the case, women grow up in a culture in which they kind of care for the man. Men are very essential in these countries. Women are looking for a man that they can build with. So that being said, these women are not looking for men to come there and indulge in luxuries. Now, of course, women are women, and they're not necessarily looking, and of course, they don't want a bum, obviously. But I say that to say that if you just go there, even a guy who makes in the United States $30,000 a year, with the amount of money you just bring to the table, just there, the small little restaurants you take them to, you're gonna see that they're very appreciative of all this, very appreciative, and they reciprocate it as well. Versus in the States, I believe they were saying 1 in 4 women are just dating men for free food. They get the food and then they dash. Versus in these other countries, I mean, you'd be surprised the amount of treatment that, how appreciative the women are just that you took them out to not even a nice restaurant, just like a local restaurant, that kind of thing. Um, and Yeah, so I say that to say that. And then other thing I want to say is also keep in mind that we have a border crisis right now, and a lot of people coming across the border, these are married people. But you don't hear about, so although you hear about mass immigration, you know what you don't hear? You don't hear about mass divorce at the border. You don't hear about massive amount of wives who marry foreign men who are not making that much in Mexico or one of these South American countries coming across the border. You don't hear about all of them suddenly fleeing from their husband, saying, "Where's the American man at? Let me flee from my husband." They don't do that. They take marriage very well. I believe in Colombia, divorce rate was only 10%. So they take marriage very seriously. And again, there is no mass exodus of wives leaving their husbands. Think about all the Ukrainians that walked over into Europe, or even the ones that are here and they're married. Do you hear about a mass divorce? These women just divorcing their husbands now that they're in a rich country with a lot of rich men. It doesn't happen. That's not the way their culture moves. So on top of that, they even found out that foreign marriages are more stable than American marriages. Like between a foreign husband and a foreign and between like a foreign husband and a foreign wife, their marriages tend to be more stable than American marriages. In addition to that, as I've already stated in several of my videos, the success rate of American man marrying a foreign woman is 80% success, which means 80% of the marriages last. It's only like a 20% divorce rate versus American man with American woman. As we know, the divorce rate is about 52%. So I say that to say that women in these other countries, they take marriage and relationships very seriously. They're very, very much committed. Um, they, once they find someone that they really like and they want to marry and commit to, they tend to love very, very hard. Now, I'm not saying that these women are perfect. I'm not saying that cheating doesn't happen. I'm not saying that divorce doesn't happen. I'm not saying that there's no scandalous women there. We already heard about some of the druggings and that kind of thing. But again, this goes back to vetting properly. So yeah, so that's that. The other thing that needs to be spoken about as well is the woman talked about these foreign women envying American women once they get here. For example, she's saying that while they're riding around in your car, and of course she described the American man as being broke, us living in dusty trailer parks or dusty, broken down vehicles, and the way she described it is that our woman will be in our car with us in our dusty car, looking out, seeing American women drive around in BMWs with their boo and that kind of thing, and then eventually our women will become, what's the word, discontent for the most part. And that's not it's not completely true. Now, and again, this goes back, and this is going to go into vetting, which I'm going to touch on before I leave. But here's the thing. As I stated before in the video about when women were asking why don't we just date foreign women within the United States, and this was my thing. A lot of men actually do. I've actually dated a woman from Ecuador in the States, had a wonderful relationship with her. Um, put it this way, it was a lot better than my relationships with some of the American women. And but the thing is, of course, I would say that in their natural habitat, it's even better. I'll put it that way. Not that, it wouldn't work, at that time I wasn't really trying to settle down, but there are plenty of guys that have married foreign women that are within the states. And that being said, what you also notice about a lot of the foreigners, especially the ones that come across the board, if you notice, they form their own little enclaves, whether it's the Haitians, Mexicans, Cubans. They have like little Cuba, they have little Haiti, little Italy. You notice they kind of keep to themselves, and some of the reasons for that as well is they speak a whole completely different language. A lot of times, some of them may even be, illegal, so they want to try to stay out of the spotlight, stay out of, any place where like ICE might show up. So a lot of times they're in their own little enclaves. A lot of times they don't even want their children hanging around Americans because they don't want their children to become Americanized. And in fact, a lot of foreigners, if you notice, kind of consider Americans to be somewhat lazy and entitled, and not take and silly for not taking advantage of the opportunities that are there in America, because they look back at their countries and look at some of the lack of opportunity there and all the opportunity we have here. Even like, we might look at a Uber Eats job or McDonald's job as, yeah, I can't do that's beneath me. But to them, it's a really great opportunity. So a lot of times when they're coming over here, they're not really envying Americans for the most part. A lot, not all of them, but a lot of them. I wouldn't say a lot of them, a percentage of them. They're not really looking on Americans with envy. If anything, they're only looking at us for that we have a lot of opportunity here to make money. That's what they're really looking for. So, but as far as the way this woman described it, she said as far as the women we date are going to be envious of the women's culture here, and that's just not necessarily true. If you look at the video done by Filipina Pia, she just, she perfectly described that, the men that you guys think are trash, the Filipinos will happily take those men off your hands. They're definitely looking for men they can build with, men that are loving and caring. Keep in mind, in these other countries, the men there tend to be very spoiled. So a lot of times some of these women get very neglected, and as some of the Filipinas had said in the video, sometimes they might have traits that the local men don't like. For example, they might have curly hair. The men there, they're all into women with straight hair. So a lot of times those women with curly hair are happy for Pastor Bros to come there and to wife them up and to date them, that kind of thing. So so the thing is, it's not just they want to come here just for like, money, pretty much they're not just coming here just for American culture. They're looking for love. And as I already told you, the success rate of American men dating foreign women. And so that's that. So as I say before, everyone thinks that everybody is envious of Americans. Everyone wants to be in America. That's just not completely true. There are plenty of foreign people you'll meet that are completely happy in their own country. And what you'll find is that a lot of times when they actually do come here, they work here at McDonald's, these Uber Eats job. They're sending money back home. I remember I was working at McDonald's at one point. Some of the foreign women there actually had husbands back home. They had boyfriends back home. They were stacking up money so they can go back home, build them a business, work down there. if they could work remotely and still work a US job remotely, take the money here and go there, they would definitely do that. Plenty of them would do that. I can assure you that. They're not all looking to stay here. They just want to come get their opportunity so they make a good living. A lot of times they're taking care of family members back home, but they're not here for the culture. They're not here to be a strong Americanized women. Now I can't speak for all. I'm sure there are a few here and there because you do have feminism trying to creep into these other countries as well. And yeah, so I'm gonna end it on that. I'm gonna end it by giving you some vetting practices that you should do. And this is not I actually need to make a video to be more thorough, but I'm going to give you like some basic vetting techniques that you need to really consider before you bring a woman back to the States, or before you even in their country, before you even make a girl your girlfriend, or you consider a wife in her own country. These are just some things you need to look out for. So about I have about so here's a few. Ask yourself this. Does this woman spend any money on you at all? Money is very women tend to be very closed fist when it comes to their money. They're not going to spend money a lot of times on somebody they don't care about. So ask yourself this: has she ever and this is not a, cuz yeah, so here's the thing. Has she ever bought you any gifts? Has she ever, offered to pay for anything? Like maybe you guys are out, she wants to get some water. You offer to pay. She says, "No, thank. I'll get it for you." She spends out of her own money and she buys the water for you and her. Has she ever done anything like that for you? My fiance right now, like I said, I didn't ask her to buy me any gifts. Every time I come, she always has me a little gift package with candy and cologne and those kind of things. And so ask yourself that: has she ever offered to pay anything for you? Has she ever bought you any gifts? That kind of thing, because what that shows is investment. Has she been willing to invest in you? Um, also this, also another thing. Next tip, next thing. So you have that. Ask yourself this: have you ever met her family? Has she? In many cases, if the girl really is into you, you'll be surprised. They really want immediately to introduce you to their family members, their father, their sisters, their friends. Does she show you off to her friends as, this is the guy I'm dating? Has she ever done that with you? Almost every girl that I've dated that's been very interested in me, very quickly, I would say within the first few weeks, they already want to introduce me to their mother and their family members. So ask yourself that. So first you have, does she spend money on you, buy you gifts? Have you met her family members? Um, Next thing is this. I would say the third thing is, how much time does she spend with you? And also, I would say this: when she does spend time with you, would you say that she's excited to see you? For example, when I'm back in the States, when I'm not with my girl, she's constantly, you know, um, inviting me to stay with her place when I come back to Colombia. She wants me to stay at her apartment. Um, you know, when you do get there, does she? What I'm saying is, does she spend most of her time with you? Because a lot of times, if the girl is really into you, she wants to go further with you. She almost wants to be glued to you most of the time. That's what I'm saying. Like after spending time with you, your place, she's inviting you. Hey, let's go to the mall. Let's go do this. She's kind of including you in a lot of her plans. So now you have time. So how much of her time does she give you? Or is this a quick? She just comes over, and as soon as she gets done kissing you or being done with you, she's out the door. Obviously, very, very big red flag if the girl barely wants to be affectionate with you, barely wants to kiss you, barely wants to spend time with you. Those are just all flags there that, for the most part, that she's probably just there for the money, or she's just trying to use you. She might even be up to a scheme, maybe like, she's trying to get some money out you. Maybe she has a boyfriend on the side. You need to really look at these things because, again, um, generally what people spend their time and money on, that's what they really value. So that's why I brought up gifts and money, and that's why now I brought up time. Like and when I mean time, I mean quality time. Is she affectionate with you? Does she want to cook with you? Does she want to cook for you? So not just gifts. So when I say gifts, also include cooking. Does she cook for you? Um, like I said, as far as sexy time in the bedroom, is she trying to please you? Does she try to make sure that you're sexually satisfied? My woman does that. She has no problem sexually satisfying me. This, we all adults. It needs to be talked about. So ask yourself that: does she try to make sure that you're sexually satisfied? Because if she's really into you, women in these countries know there's plenty of women there checking for you. If she knows there's plenty of women there checking for you and she wants to keep you, why wouldn't she make sure that you're sexually satisfied? So ask yourself that. So back to my main points. Does she buy you gifts? Uh does she spend money on you? Does she cook for you? Those all could be the same point. Next one is how much time does she spend with you? And what is the time like? Is it quality time? Does she sexually satisfy you? Is she affectionate when she greets you, when she kisses you? Next point is, have you ever met her family? Has she introduced you to her family? And the last point, when it comes to vetting, I'm going to say this: do not bring a woman, and this is especially the guys that want to bring your woman back to the States. Do not bring a woman to the States that you have no influence over, that does not feel like you are essential, almost to the point where, to some degree, you feel like she kind of needs you to some point. So basically, and I say that to say this: if you don't have any influence over this woman while she's in her country, do you really think that when she gets to your country that you're going to have influence over her, especially with all the bad influences there coming from the media and all the women that she may encounter of her own background that are already in the States? Think about all that negative influence coming around her. Do you think that that's going to be do you think you're going to be able to influence her or run your household with those influences around her when you didn't even have influence over her in her own country? If you don't have influence over her own country, don't even bring her to the States. Consider that woman, either you don't have to either have to marry that woman in her own country, deal with her in her own country, or to some degree consider her just, like a play date kind of thing. Maybe you guys mess around, you take it out a few times, but she's definitely not marriage material. I'll give you a perfect example. My girl, and I did not ask her to do this. Whenever she wanted to go out with her friends, she would always ask me, is it okay that I can hang out with, if she can hang out with her friends? She was saying they're going to go out to a place to eat some pizza. Is that okay? And I would say, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. So anytime she would go out with potentially going to be some guys there or something like that, she always lets me know. She always asks me permission, which tells you what she likes having my validation. She values my opinion, and she respects me as a man. That's a woman. When I bring her back to the States, if there's some women there that I think are bad influences, and I let her know, like, hey, I don't think you need to be hanging around with her. She's going to lead you on the wrong path. She's going to ruin our relationship, and she has nothing. This woman is not very good. I don't want you around her. She's the type of woman that will actually appreciate my opinion and listen to me and not hang out with those women. That's the type of woman you want to bring back to the States. You don't want a woman that's combative with you in her own country. If she's combative with you in her own country, where everything is set in favor of the men, imagine when she gets to the States or your country, it's going to be completely out of control. And this has nothing to do with the woman saying being envious of American women. So here's the thing: in that case, those women did not. The American women didn't take your woman away from you. I'm gonna have to say this: that woman was already gone before she even got back to the States. She was already gone. You didn't see all the red flags there. If anything else, if you don't know how to vet properly, I would say ask one of your buddies to give you their opinion about your relationship with that woman, and don't don't eh, don't be extra sensitive. Just really listen to what they're saying, because they're trying to help you. They're trying to look out for you so you don't get taken advantage of. Because that's generally, when you do hear about a negative situation with the passport bros, that's generally, in my opinion, what has happened is the guy, for the most part, probably didn't do a good job in vetting. I'm not saying that it can't happen to me or anybody else. I'm not saying that, here and there relationships don't work out, but you can avoid uh plenty of bad situations and plenty of poor quality women by just doing some vetting. So I'm gonna leave you with that. This video got kind of long, but tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me what you think about this whole situation. Um, Leave some comments. Please hit the notification bell. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not. Hit the thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. I appreciate you guys so much. And until next time, this is your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, signing off.